right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So the finals for the 2024 Italy Pro just wrapped up. And not surprisingly, Hunter Labrada picks up the victory here. Andrea Presti in second. By the way, Hunter Labrada won with unanimous scores for first. And Andrea Presti unanimously in second. Bruno Santos in third. Lorenzo Lue in fourth. Enrico Hoffman fifth. And Chris Zeller in sixth. So let's talk about it here. A lot of discussion and debate about how Hunter Labrada looked here. I've been looking at some of the Instagram comments in particular. I feel like you get a really kind of a neutral perspective of how the fans feel about any given show on some of like the random bodybuilding Instagram pages, because not just one page dedicated to that specific bodybuilder. And it seemed like the general consensus was people were also underwhelmed by Hunter Labrada. I was actually surprised to see there was a good number of comments that even they were even saying they think that the guy in second, Andrea Presti, should have won. I don't agree with that, but I thought it was interesting because, you know, Hunter looked really good in the updates leading up to this show. I think everybody agrees on that. I think a lot of people were hyped to see Hunter. You know, Hunter said this would be his all-time best package. I don't think we saw that. Like I said in the prejudging video, I don't think this was his all-time best. And by the way, I'm not a huge fan of the shows like this one, where the prejudging and the finals are only like 40 minutes apart. It's kind of like, what's the point? No one's going to really look any different at finals. And also, I think to be fair to Hunter, I should point out again, I think the lighting here, especially combined with the moving bright background, was just terrible, dog shit. It really didn't do anybody any favors, including Hunter. So I feel like some of this can be attributed to this just total trash lighting. But look, I mean, I wouldn't even say this was a bad version of Hunter. I mean, obviously, I thought it was pretty clear to me that Hunter was still going to win this, and it would probably have taken a lot for him to lose. He would have to be really off, even though I would say he was slightly off here. The biggest thing, like I said, was the midsection for me as far as a point of criticism. I think the distension in his midsection is becoming very noticeable, and I think if you rewatch the prejudging in particular when they're in the call-out of 4, one thing that I noticed is if you watch Hunter Labrada during certain poses, he tries pretty deliberately to hold his arms in front of his midsection during the transition. So this kind of tells me that he's aware of it too. I feel like he was on stage knowing his midsection didn't look great, knowing there was some distension, because there's some pretty intentional points in the posing where you can tell he's deliberately putting his arms kind of blocking the view of his midsection entirely in the transitions, which tells me that he was conscious of it. Conditioning-wise, I would say not bad, but certainly not his best. And, you know, Andrea Presti, the fans making the argument for him in second, I think that was because he was in such good condition. I know a lot of people were reacting to the noise from the crowd on the live stream, the reaction to the crowd when Andrea was announced in second and Hunter Labrada was announced in first. And a lot of people took this as, oh, maybe this was a big upset and maybe this was a bad decision. I don't think this was controversial. I still think Hunter Labrada clearly won this. And that crowd reaction, I think, largely was because Andrea Presti is from Italy. So it was kind of like, it was his home crowd. I'm sure those fans wanted to see him win. But yeah, as far as Hunter, I still think the victory was deserved. I don't think it was controversial. Hunter still, at the end of the day, was the best bodybuilder on that stage, and what I think had to be really off to lose this show. But I do think it would have been fascinating to see Neckzilla in this lineup now that Hunter Labrada wasn't really as invincible as he seemed in the updates going into the show. If Neckzilla was in decent shape and did this show, it maybe wouldn't have been a slam dunk for Hunter Labrada, because honestly, I think this version of Hunter Labrada, if this is what we see at the Olympia, I don't see any way he's going to be in the top 6 if this is the same package as he's going to have at the Olympia. And he said going into the show, this is the best package he's ever presented on a pro stage, and I don't know. I don't see it. But speaking of Neckzilla, let's get into the next story here. So both Rubiel and his new coach, Fran Espen, uploaded a video onto YouTube, and this had English subtitles. And in this video, I'll save you some time because it's about half an hour long. They explain what's Rubiel's goal and what were his intentions and why did he not do the Italy and the UK show. So they say in the video, yes, he was prepping for Italy, and yes, he was prepping for the UK, but they decided against doing both. So now they're not doing Italy, and they're not doing the UK show, so there will be no attempt and no Neckzilla at this year's Mr. Olympia. But what they will be doing is the Prague Pro at the end of the year, a qualifier for next year's Mr. Olympia, which is in November. So the overall sentiment of this video and the point that they're making, I agree with. They basically, they give several different excuses for why Rubiel missed all these shows. They talk about the visa still. They talk about the climate change. They talk about the travel. They talk about him, just various, I would say, excuses for why he hasn't been 100%. And so the overall sentiment of what they're saying in the video, I agree with, is that they don't want to kind of half-ass a show, knowing that Rubiel's not going to be 100%. They basically say, yes, he was prepping for Italy and UK, but we know he wouldn't have been 100% there. And we want him to take his time and actually have a legitimate prep for a show and come in as close to 100% as possible instead of, rushing a last-minute prep after a poor showing in Dubai. And I do agree with that. I think that's a fair point. I would just say maybe don't say that you're doing the shows if you don't know for sure, and then you won't disappoint your fans. But the rationale I agree with, because let's say Rubiel did do those shows. Yes, he'd be doing what he said he was going to do, but let's say he wasn't in good shape. Then he would get the same criticism again from all the fans about how he needs to come in with better conditioning. So it would have kind of been a lose-lose for him to rush into one of these shows. So waiting until Prague, giving him a much more extended time to acclimate to working with Fran and really try to come in 100%, I think probably is a good move. And then he'll have the whole year, assuming he's able to win the Prague Pro. If he qualifies very early for the Olympia next year, probably best case scenario for him to have the whole year to not have to worry about qualifying, not have to worry about traveling, but the whole year to focus on the Olympia. And then I don't think he'll have this visa excuse, because I still don't like that excuse. He talked about in this video with Fran how the visa issue to the United States is still an issue, also to England. He was talking about the UK show, but he was basically saying with the Olympia coming up in October and just, basically a month now, they still don't know if they would be able to get the U.S. visa, which I would think if they had started applying like they said they did all the way back for the Arnold Classic at the beginning of the year, I think they would know a little bit more about the U.S. visa process. So he basically said it'd be pointless to even try to qualify for this Olympia because we don't even know if we'll be able to get to the United States. So if he qualifies at the Prague Pro, he'll have the whole year of 2025 to work on that U.S. visa and have no excuses for why he can't be at the Olympia. Because that really is kind of my biggest fear with Rubiel, is like with this track record of making all these excuses and skipping all these shows that he says he's going to do. My biggest fear is that he might qualify for the Olympia and then just neglect whatever responsibility he has with the visa or the travel or whatever, and at the end of the year say, oh, I couldn't get there, I'm not doing the Olympia. And they talk about a little bit in their video how it's really difficult for a Colombian to get a U.S. visa, which, I mean, I don't know that much about visas and very limited about foreign relations, but you would think if an Iranian like Hadi Chupin was able to get their visa year after year, even though Beirut still hasn't been able to, I would think a Colombian has a better chance than an Iranian. The U.S. doesn't really have tensions with Colombia, do we? I mean, I don't know. But I just kind of wonder with his track record, because he's missed shows that are not in the U.S. So let's just get that on record. I just wonder how hard it really is for him to get a U.S. visa versus how hard is he really trying to get the visa and get to a U.S. show. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Will we actually see Rubiel compete before the end of the year, and do you think we'll ever see him at the Olympia? Now, next up in the news, Chris Bumstead's big announcement. I've got to say, after seeing the latest teaser trailer of that announcement, I am pretty convinced now that it's not going to be very significant or heavy news. I don't think it's going to be a retirement announcement, just because the overall feel, the initial post was very ominous. It was just a picture with a bunch of microphones and a countdown. Then he posted this teaser trailer video, which I thought it gave me corny vibes, and it gave me advertisement vibes, and it gave me like your typical like corny supplement company or just bodybuilding clothing company, their idea of a great ad, kind of that corny Instagram reel style of video. That's the vibe that I got from this teaser trailer. So I don't think we're going to get a retirement announcement. We're not getting a switching to open bodybuilding announcement. I actually do think now it's going to be some type of sponsorship announcement. Not necessarily supplements. The rumor that I heard was that he's going to announce Gymshark. He's back with Gymshark is the rumor that I heard about this announcement. So if you got your hopes up that we're going to get like some really significant, heavy Chris Bumstead news, I wouldn't hold on to that for too long, because I really think this is going to be underwhelming. But we're going to find out tomorrow or actually not tomorrow. Oh yeah, tomorrow. Today's Sunday. We're going to find out tomorrow on Monday what the announcement is all about, because that's when the countdown ends. But I have a feeling it's not going to be any of these like wild and crazy things that people think it's going to be. So don't be too mad if it's just something like Gymshark or a new flavor of a pre-workout or something, because I feel like that might be what it is. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, we got a brief guest posing from Samson Dauda this past weekend. And this is pretty impressive, because it shows off the sheer size of Samson Dauda, which I think sometimes people don't realize, because he does have such an aesthetically pleasing physique, but how big he actually is. Because at this guest posing, the guy that he's standing next to is not an amateur. That's an actual pro classic physique competitor. You're looking at two IFBB pros in this video, but it just kind of shows that Samson is just in a league of his own. He's gigantic. He's a big, big dude. And I feel like people forget that sometimes. Like I said, because he is so aesthetic, he's got such a nice taper. He's a really big dude. And I'm kind of curious, after seeing Hunter Labrada at this Italy show, and kind of seeing what we've seen, what we just saw from Samson, what we saw from Andrew Jacked in Texas, guys like Martin Fitzwater, Nick Walker. After seeing Hunter at this show in Italy, that's why I said earlier in this video, I really don't see how he could be in the top 6, because based on what we've seen from all these guys that I just mentioned, and you put Hadi and Derek on top of that, in no particular order, Hadi, Derek, Samson, Nick, Andrew, Martin, hell, Rafael Brandao too. I mean, I don't know if I see Hunter beating any of those guys. Bonak's back in the mix this year. He might have a chance at the top 6, and, who knows if Nathan and Beiruz will be able to compete. I mean, that's 9 guys right there. Actually, that's 10. Hadi, Derek, Nick, Samson, Andrew, Martin, Raphael, Bonak, Beiruz, and Nathan. That would be 11 guys right there that could all potentially place higher than Hunter Labrada, or at the very least be very competitive and difficult for Hunter to beat. So personally, I think we're really going to see some of the Olympia placings from last year get shaken up this year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below as far as your top 6 Olympia predictions for this year. Who do you guys have winning, 1 through 6 in order, in the comments below? And where do you have Hunter placing, if not in the top 6? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. Alright guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply NICKS&P, my secondary YouTube channel, NICKS&Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, NICKS&Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a NICKS&P t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.